another episode of Women in Focus. We are interviewing a world-renowned actor who has brought sunshine to Vancouver because Indian summer is upon us. Her name is Sharmila Tagore, world-known. Please help me welcome her to Vancouver. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
So we must thank you for the sunshine. We've had nothing but dreary weather.
I believe so, but I'm very happy about the weather.
When you decided to come to Vancouver, had you heard about Vancouver at all?
Well, I like to keep in touch with the world, and yes, of course I've heard about Vancouver, but strangely I've never been here. I've been to Toronto and Montreal and Victoria, right. Calgary.
Victoria as well, but not Vancouver.
And not Vancouver for some reason. We almost came here because there was a shooting. There was a film being made with Akshay Kumar and Aisha Takia.
Right.
And I played a small part in that. And they were going to shoot in Vancouver,
right.
but I don't know what happened last minute. The shooting got postponed.
Postponed.
It never happened.
Your life is something that we're going to talk about today, and everybody knows a lot of stuff about your films, about your life, but I wanted to hear from you the journey from your first film to now. Do you believe in destiny? Was it destined to be, you were destined to be in films?
I don't want to put it like that, because yes, there is always an element of luck, but the opportunity that came my way, which changed my life, my entry into the film world, was a matter of luck, I think. It was chance, most certainly. Satyajit Ray was casting for his third film, third of the trilogy, Opur Shangshar, and he wanted a very young person to play the child bride of Oppu. And he has its scouts in front of all the schools, or wherever young people would be available, would be seen. So one of them must have seen me and must have followed me home, or anyway, he contacted my father and wanted to know if I'd be interested. And those days, films were not quite nobody from good families wanted to go into films. But Ray was an exception, because he had already proved by his earlier films that he was making, better films, which appealed to the middle class sensibilities. Right. So my father didn't have any objection, and that's how it happened. I mean, he took a screen test and he liked it, and the film was made and it was released, and overnight Aparna became the heartthrob of everybody.
Right.
And even today, so many years later, this film was made, about 54 years ago? And even now it epitomizes romance. Nothing can be more romantic than that film.
That's true. And your relationship with Satyajit Ray was a very interesting one. I mean, you worked with him in many other films as well.
That's right, yes.
And Bengali being your mother tongue. So how fluent are you in it even now?
In fact, I never lost touch with Bengali cinema. I did move to Bombay cinema in around 63 with Kashmir Ki Kali. That was my first Hindi film. And undoubtedly, Indian cinema, Hindi cinema gave me the kind of visibility that no other cinema could. But as you say, the regional cinema, Bengali cinema, and the pleasure of speaking in one's own language, acting in one's own language. So I never really lost touch, and I kept coming back and working. In fact, the last time I worked in a Bengali film was only 2 years ago.
Right.
In Antuhin, I play a cameo role, but very nice, and it was well noticed also. And I do a lot of stage recitals of Tagore with Soumitra Chatterjee, another wonderful Bengali actor. So I have not lost touch with my language at all.
That's fantastic.
I speak it very well, thank you.
Good. I wish I could speak Bengali, but I have worked with some fantastic Bengali people. I was mentioning to you at the BBC, I used to work with Himanshu Kumar Bhaduri.
Yes.
Jaya's uncle. And so when he would be in a very angry mood, he would say something in Bengali, but it sounded like he was being sweet to me. Such a sweet
It's a lovely language. But I know my Bengali roots because when I have to do my tables,
yes.
you know,
Oh, okay.
I always do that in Bengali.
Okay, it's
and it's
easy.
sort of, my children get so, they're very amused because, you know, when I'm
Yes.
doing that.
Yes,
and that's always in Bengali.
The films have given you, you mentioned visibility throughout India, throughout the world, in fact. That Bombay film industry has grown. I mean, it's a world-known industry. People love to come to Bombay to make films and take stars from there. It still is doing the same kind of films that it was doing 40 years ago. Do you think it should continue doing that? Because it has that sort of a persona?
Yes, Bombay film industry has grown a lot. The reason for that, the marketing is much better, the distribution is much better, the money is in place.
Right.
So all those aspects are in order, and and that is helping the industry a lot. And there is a lot of work. And unlike Europe, where Hollywood is affecting their business, Indians are not facing that, because wherever there are Indians, the diaspora and the home audience supports their own film. And cinema is very, very popular, has always been. Indian people are passionate about their cinema, like the British are about their theatre.
Yes.
So cinema comes first as an entertainment. So it has the necessary support. But when you're talking about content, that's also another problem, because unlike Iranian films, unlike Chinese film, who are so dependent on the international audience, we are not. We have a captive audience at home.
Right.
And as you know, India lives in many centuries. India is a huge place. And, in some areas, there are sort of 13th century outlook, and some are in 21st century. And so the Indian producers, Indian films try to please everybody.
Everyone.
Because it's a market-driven industry. And therefore, the content is a bit limited, because it's the same story in different garb, in a probably technologically very up-to-date.
Maybe.
And clothes-wise, it looks very Western.
Right.
But when it comes to making an informed choice, it'll always be the traditional. So we really haven't moved too much away from it.
Right.
But thanks to, like what I was saying about the multiplexes that we have now, so a lot of films can be now, with the digital experiment, a lot of films can be made with less investment.
Okay.
And it also is released. So the producers are now free to experiment. So we are getting people like Anurag Kashyap and Vishal Bhardwaj and lots of other, like this Kahani has become a very big hit. There is a Bengali film called Bhuter Bhovishyat, which is wonderful. I was just watching it on my iPad just now, just before the interview, really, and it left it at a very interesting stage. So, it's a lot of things are happening, but these big films with the big star cast and the big lavish productions, they're also being made, because the technology is there and people want to experiment it. But a big budget doesn't necessarily make a good film.
Yeah, that's right.
For that, you need a big imagination and insight and intuitiveness. So the ability to speak, like Satyajit Ray, Mrinal Sen, Ritik Ghatak, have the ability to have a conversation, a simultaneous conversation with home and abroad. So they could speak to the world audience and their home audience. But right now, people are more interested in speaking with the home audience. And while I celebrate this money in the film industry and this lavish, this contemporary concern with lavish sets and style, I sometimes feel that there is a disconnect with the real India that we know exists, but we don't see it in the media, because everything is kind of glossed over.
Right.
And so that is the market. There is an aspirational quality,
Right.
and most Indians want to see bright and beautiful films with lovely girls and lovely locations. And youth is a great,
Youth-oriented, yeah.
yes, that's a must, and beauty.
Right.
So we kind of, so we do make some typical films, but on the other hand, we are making a lot more different kind of films,
And
diverse films.
meaningful
So
films.
I would say the industry is really going to a good place.
I was talking to late Amjad Khan, and I said to him, why do we make all these glamorous films? And he said, person coming to see a film for 2.5 hours has got a crying baby and a wife at home, doesn't want to come and see the same stuff. I asked him, why don't we make realistic films? He said, we live realism every day, so we want escapism.
Sure, yes, quite right. And there is entertainment, basically.
For sure.
But even that concept is changing, and there is a urban-rural divide now. The rural India wants a different kind of films.
Yes.
And the urban India now is wanting different kind of films.
Right.
It's a definitive change. There is something happening right now. People are getting tired with very big films and
Right.
very big sort of meaningless kind of film, which is only concentrating on lavish sets and
and all that.
lavish production values. So people are moving, and a lot of small budget films have done extremely well. So the producers are also thinking that, so the urban moviegoers are changing their taste.
Your most favorite film? And it's a very unfair question to ask. It's like asking, which is your favorite child? What was your most favorite film?
Well, I would say Devi, Satyajit
Wow.
Ray's Devi,
Yes.
which came very early in my life, which was my second film, really. I was 14. But I don't think there is anything that has completely come anywhere near that. Because it, of course, it was made by a master.
Yes.
And it was treated so well. And it's the subject remains so relevant and so contemporary even now. So I most certainly would. And in Hindi, there's a movie called Safar,
Yes.
which is my favorite, which I love. It didn't do very well at the box office,
But it's a
unlike
classic.
Aradhna and Amar
Yes.
Prem, and those are the movies that people remember.
Yeah.
But I fancy Safar quite a lot, yes.
What's your favorite color?
Well, I wear everything. When I was younger, I used to like pastels and white quite a
Yes.
lot. But now, as I'm getting older, I want bright colors. So I think, you need a little bit of color on your face. So it keeps changing. It depends on my mood. Certain days I want to be bright, and
Yes.
certain days I can't bear to look at those colors. So I dress as I please.
Your favorite food?
I like my Bengali food. I like my march, fish. Even yesterday at Vancouver, I sort of said, I'm terribly tired. I can't be bothered to look at the room service menu. Can you please recommend a fish? So they did, and I ate that, and I was very happy with that.
Halibut.
So halibut, yes. So I like fish, and I like my vegetables. I don't really have, but I'm a rice eater, basically.
Right. So are Bengalis are rice eaters?
Yes, they are. They
Like
are.
Gujaratis?
And the Keralites.
Keralites.
Yes.
Yes. Your children are in films. Your son is a heartthrob. Your daughter is amazing. Where do you see them?
Our son is doing quite well. He's worked very hard. Film of his is releasing, Cocktail is
That's
releasing any day now. And he's talented. I really like his presence on the screen. While he's there, you don't feel like looking at anybody else. He's got that star presence, and he's quite hyper and mercurial, and so he's very interesting to look at. And he's already worked in very diverse roles,
Yes.
from Omkara to Tum Mile, which was a comedy, then Ek Hasina Thi and Being Cyrus,
Right.
Parinita. So they're all Love Aajkal as the Sardar. I think he was
Yes.
absolutely delectable. So he's a good actor. Soha, followed a very academic career. She went to Oxford. She did her master's from LSE. She was coming to Harvard. So, and then she joined Bollywood, and not only Bollywood, mainstream Bollywood.
That's right.
And she's loving it. And education is all about options. And she's so far chosen different kind of films. So she already has, she owns up to most of her films, and it's giving her the opportunity to express herself. But she's of a different rung than Saif.
Right.
But both are independent and economically, they're doing well. So I think it's good. And I've got another daughter, Sabah, who's a jewelry designer.
Ask you about her, yes.
She's a jewelry designer, and she's also.
Did she design that?
No, she didn't design this, but I love her designs, and in fact, when you wear her jewelry, it looks better,
Right.
Yeah, so it's, and she studied here. She came to, not here, sorry, she went to USA,
right.
Carlsbad in California, this GEM Institute of America, GIA.
Right.
And they really teach you well. So she's doing well. So they're all settled and doing their own thing.
Can I ask you a gossipy question?
Yes.
Is there going to be a wedding soon in the house?
Yes, most certainly. Most certainly on the 16th of October, inshallah. Yes.
Good. You're just going to leave it there. Are you religious? Are you spiritual? Because there's a difference, right?
I don't know. I don't really think. I do believe in God.
Yes.
And I believe if there is God, the God will be kind and forgiving. I can't imagine a God that is, if we forgive our children, then God most certainly will forgive us. And that's how I look at him. And
or her.
I don't even think. I think of a presence. I think of a quality which is superior to us, and all encompassing and compassionate. And that's my my vision of God. Other than that, I don't believe in too many rites and practices and today's concept where religion divides more than unites.
Yes.
And in the name of religion, so many terrible things are happening.
Right.
I saw a lovely film called Where Do We Go From Now? Nadine Labouki's film. She's a Lebanese actor, and she's directed this film. Right. And it's so relevant and wonderful. And in fact, a lot of discussions about the human rights groups, and they're all discussing. And it makes a very relevant point on religion. And by definition, all religion are different from each other.
Right.
But fundamentally, also it's saying the same thing, basically. And yet, the effect of religion has been so divisive and so violent, and so, not now, even during the Protestants and Catholics killing each other, etc. So this compassionate nature of religion is what we have to find, that really unites and not divides.
As the ambassador of UNICEF, how hard do you have to work?
As much as I want to.
Yes.
There is no demand as such, but as you know, we live in India and there is so much to do. There is so much malnutrition, lack of education, lack of potable water, lack of awareness vis-a-vis hygienic conditions. So there is a lot to do, and children, of course, are so precious. And I'm so happy that UNICEF gives me the opportunity to interact and to speak up for the children wherever and whenever it's necessary, and we do that. And we go to Bihar, and I work with HIV and AIDS orphans, infected and affected, and as well as education, girl-child education.
Right.
These are the two areas that we are working. And recently I was in Ranchi, and we are wanting the pregnant mothers to go to the institution. We are promoting institutional delivery. The government of India is also, and not just institutional delivery, safe delivery.
Safe delivery, yeah.
So, because if you get to the hospital on time, you save, we are talking about 2 lives here, mother and child.
Mother and child, yeah.
So there are lots to do. And I find that very, very satisfactory.
Great. Where do you see yourself after this, this role? What do you want to do?
I take one day at a time.
Good
so
for you.
it's there's so much to do, and I've done, and continuously there are new challenges on the horizon. Things happen, and you take one step forward, and you go to another zone. Like I'm doing a lot of stage things, as I told you, which I'd never done before, and so just life goes on, and
so the dimple is still there.
yes,
and it will continue to be there.
I hope so.
Thank you very much for being our Woman in Focus today.
Thank you.